That's fine. All right. We're going. I just clicked the button. Usually the feed takes it a couple minutes. Are you guys ready?
Oh my
gosh.
Are you ready?
Okay, this is your swivel dance. We're good. I think we are live. Yes, I just got the notification. Good morning, everybody. This is our 56th 5-6 jam session, Chicago Real Producers Jam Session. It's an honor to be sharing the screen with these individuals. And I will just tell you right now, the realtors on here, the partners on here, they have graciously carved an hour time block out of their schedule just to kind of elevate the community. Our mission statement, our vision is to connect, elevate, and inspire realtors and industry professionals who support realtors to push deals across the finish line. Realtors know that they need a team to lean on, and it's just nice that they can have resources in their pocket so they can go out and make more range, so to speak. So I mean, it's just an awesome time. I'm extremely grateful because when people do the jam sessions, a lot of you guys say, "Hey Andy, that was super cool. I'd love to do another one in a couple months with some different faces." And then, as you know, we rotate these people very periodically. So that being said, we're in the heart of the fall market, so I'm excited for the insights that will come of this collaboration, this little sesh. And I'm going to let the realtors introduce themselves briefly. I'll let the partners introduce themselves, and then we're going to start talking shop. So that being said, Tiffany, why don't you go ahead and kick us off?
Hi, I'm Tiffany Vondran. I'm with Fulton Grace, and I've been in the business 14 years.
Beautiful.
Ooh. Hi, I'm Kate Gaffey. I'm the team lead of real estate with Kate at Fulton Grace as well, and I'm in my 5th year.
I'm Shay Hata with Berkshire Hathaway, and I've been in business for about 10 years.
Hey y'all, my name is Olin, and I am with At Properties, and I'm the team lead for a small group, the OSC team. And I've been in business for about 12 years as well.
Who's next? Me? My name is Otto Straub. Okay, Otto Straub with Berkshire Hathaway in Chicago and in Florida. I've been in the business for 16 years.
Cool. And thank you guys. And we appreciate it. I mean, just so everybody watching this knows, not that we have millions of views or anything. This is hyper local, specifically to Chicago. And the realtors aren't getting paid. I mean, they're sacrificing their own time to kind of elevate one another and scratch each other's back. So I mean, it's a favor to me. I know you guys like it. People get a lot of value from these. At least that's what people tell me. But we're very honored. Now, the people who make our platform possible are our partners. I take pride in the fact that we're a non-pay-to-play platform for realtors. I know realtors pay for a lot of advertising and a lot of just credibility and publicity. So when other clients and people see it, they're like, "Oh, that realtor must be important. They're in a magazine." We do all of our features based on nominations and closed production. And so I always get the question, well, how is this platform supported? I am nothing without our partners. I will tell you that from day one. I am the guy who puts the puzzle together, okay? People like Seth, people like Joe are people who support the puzzle making factory. I don't know if that analogy lands, but you guys know what I'm trying to say. All right. So that being said, I'm honored to have Seth and John here. So why don't you guys introduce yourself, your industry, and then I'm going to shut up and we'll start rocking out. Seth, go ahead, my friend.
Hey everybody, my name is Seth Williams. I'm the owner of Interior Drama Home Staging, and we've been in business since 2002.
Morning, everybody. Joe Burke with Proper Rate Guaranteed Rate Company. I've been doing this since 2002. Happy to be here. Thanks for having us.
Hey, well, this is the point where I get tired of the sound of my own voice, and let's be frank. The more I talk, the less value people are going to receive from this. So, middle of October. When we were kind of pre-gaming, I think Shay, you had a great topic or just a question and kind of spark conversation to kick us off with. So why don't you go ahead and do that, and we'll let the conversation ebb and flow from there.
Sounds good. I was really just curious, kind of where people are seeing their buyers and sellers mentally right now. I know for us, our buyers are out there actively looking at properties, but they're not writing any contracts. They're being really picky. In the spring, they just wanted to get anything. And now it feels like if a property's been on the market more than 10 days, 2 weeks, they're like, I'm not paying full price. It's overpriced, and they don't realize that the market shifted. And then same thing with our sellers. They don't necessarily see that the market shifted. So they don't understand why their property isn't still selling in 2 days for multiple offers, and I know obviously it varies the city versus the suburbs. So just curious kind of what you guys are seeing with your buyers and sellers kind of mentally, emotionally, et cetera.
Yeah, I'll kick that off, Shay. I think you hit it on the head when you said that some of the buyers, that if they're not making an offer on day one and go into a multiple situation, yet the house sits on the market for 10 days, then they're not interested in going in on it full price. And so I have a number of clients who are actually looking in the same neighborhood. So I'm seeing the same house 2 or 3 times with 2 or 3 different agents, and we're getting into multiple offers. Still not as bad as 2020 when there was 10, 12 offers on the table, but still 3 or 4. But if it doesn't happen in that first week, some of my buyers are saying exactly what you said. They're like, well, it's been on for 2 weeks now. I don't think I'm going to pay full price for it. And it's a really interesting dynamic that I'm seeing with buyers, because like I said before we started, buyers have the same access to see properties and prices through all the marketing websites that are available. And they're coming to me and saying, well, the comps that I've run, and I've seen this on this website, and what do you think about this price? So I think that buyers are really educating themselves as much as possible. And maybe that's the reason that some of them are not wanting to jump on these properties so quickly, at least. Yeah.
Shay, I have several buyers right now that are looking where their leases are up in March and April of next year. They're just kind of starting early. And I think that there's just not as much motivation to put in an offer. Like, we're actively looking as well, but there's, they have time to look for the perfect place.
Any of your buyers, I'm not starting to hear this, but I'm wondering if it's coming as we've kind of seen the stock market not doing so awesome over the past week or two, as I'm obsessively checking my portfolio every day, right? Of buyers at all being like, you know what, I'm going to hold off because I'm worried about what's going to happen in the market. Are you hearing that, maybe Joe, because you talk to people from pre-approvals, or is that a concern of mine that's not valid?
I think it's amazing how much anxiety there is, no matter which type of buyer we talk about. I have people, 2 years in that, started the process, and then their lease came up, they didn't find anything, and they're anxious for the reasons that they've gone out twice in the spring and not been able to get in the feeding frenzy. And then I've got sellers that want to buy that are anxious about putting their place on the market and not being able to find another house, or selling and not being able to find a house. And then I've got this wave of pre-approvals for next year already. And this started really even in 2019, when the market was really, the inventory shortage that we had, where we used to tell people Super Bowl for, spring market, and then it became mid-January. And now, in 2019, really, as rates began to come down, I was doing pre-approvals in October and November for, January. And there's anxiety, and no matter who I'm talking to in terms of that. And then when you lay that over interest rates rising, right, that's going to happen this year. And when people are nervous about their portfolios, like you're saying, and that tends to be my older buyers that are more apt to be nervous about portfolios, especially people who are close to or at retirement, because they're maybe pulling off of IRAs and things like that. So no, I see a tremendous amount of anxiety no matter who I'm talking to, and it's definitely something that we're tiptoeing around on my end.
Where are you with pre-approvals right now? How does it compare to last year at this time? Are you guys up, down? Because that always affects us, a month or two later.
I'd say it's about the same level of activity as last year. And it is the same, I think what I'm seeing more of right now is people, and this goes to what Tiffany said, I've got a lot of buyers that want to dip their toe in without going all the way. And usually what we do there is, we'll do more of a pre-qualification without a credit pull, because people get nervous about doing a credit pull if they're not necessarily going out actively looking. Yet a lot of people do see the fall in this slower time as maybe an opportunity to not be in multiple offer situations. So I have a lot of people that are like, my lease isn't up until March or April. I want to be at least pre-qualified in the event that, you know, and be able to have a realtor set me up on the MLS so I can see properties. And then if, you know, it becomes Saturday afternoon, best and final by 5 o'clock, all we have to do is run credit. And that's would really define my pre-approvals for the last 3 to 4 weeks.
I had one thing to go off, Shay, kind of your original sentiment. I've experienced it similarly, and I just kind of was thinking back to like when the first day of this fall, I started experiencing that. And it was when I was hosting an open house, there was just like a different vibe in the air of the people coming in, you know. Months ago, I felt like I was getting like almost pinned down by buyers coming in. And then there's almost like an air of confidence and, you know, asking certain questions that maybe they wouldn't have been asking before. So I think there was I feel like it was like 2-3 weeks ago, I started to feel, and then I was like, all right, I think the buyers that I'm experiencing there's something different. And I think they feel like they have more power. They do have more power, or they have more time, like Tiffany had mentioned. So I'm experiencing that too, but it's just very interesting how one day it just switches. So.
Are you guys seeing your open houses be very busy? Like, I feel like our open houses have just been super slow the last 2 weeks compared to before.
Yeah, I would say like maybe 3 or 4 groups through each one.
I think the last 2 weeks specifically have been really slow. And then prior to that, they still had the traffic of what we saw this summer, but the interest felt different.
And to answer your second part of your question, like suburbs versus downtown, my suburbs are still, the open houses there are going well, but anything closer to the downtown, maybe Lakeshore Drive area is really slow from last year.
So something,
Go
ahead.
Well, I just want to, you know, as a parent of, you know, 11 and 13-year-old, our weekends are busy again. You know, so and it has been slower the last 2 weekends, but it really has been slower since school started. I mean, while there was that end of summer activity that pushed us through September, I do feel like people are kind of all consumed right now. I mean, it's the first birthday party we're having for my 14-year-old in 2 years. It's the first time we've had volleyball games in 2 years. You know, so I think a lot of this is market driven. I think also people are just, you know, exhausted and excited to get back out into the world a little bit. It's, you know, I don't know. It's definitely a human behavior element to this, I think.
I would say a lot more people are traveling, right? So yeah. that too.
Yeah.
And I was just going to say right before you jumped in on that, Joe, a perfect lead in, because I was going to ask about your conversations that you guys are having with your buyers and your clients, because I've just realized that earlier in the spring and then getting into summer, like you said, before school started, the question that I was having with people this year has been a lot more meaningful and a little bit deeper with my clients, where the question went from what do you want in a new property to what do you need in a new property? Or do you want a 3-bedroom house for your family, or do you need a 3-bedroom for your family? Because everybody's life has changed over the past 18 months. And so we went from working a lot in an office to working in a home, and people are teaching from home. So I'm just interested if you guys have been having similar conversations with your clients and what those conversations look like.
Yeah, I have been having a lot of conversations that now you pointed out like that it really has changed to a kind of like a dialect of need versus want. And I think also it kind of forces you to dive in and ask the questions about what's been lacking, you know, where's the deficit with these changes, and how can we kind of like solve the problem? So I feel like it's more problem solving than it was like a couple years prior. Now it's almost a couple years prior, but yeah, so that's an interesting way to kind of lay it out.
I feel like we've been having those conversations as well since the start of the pandemic, but just recently it's changed to some degree because a lot of our clients thought they would be going back to work, you know, in person in the office in like September. And so I feel like that drove some of our sales in like, you know, maybe like May, June, where they were like, well, now I need to be back in the office. So now I'm ready to start to buy closer to downtown. And then with Delta, a lot of their offices pulled back. And so now they're back in this limbo of not knowing when they're going to be going back into the office or not. And so I feel like in part, that's also put a little bit of a damper kind of on our buyers' motivation, because they're like, am I going back in? Am I not going back in? I don't know. Do I need a home office? Like, it just feels very up in the air for people. So, I mean, that's at least what we've been experiencing. I don't know if people have been hearing that from their clients as well or not.
100% yes. And it's been interesting, you know, where I've had people who've taken longer to get through the process. You know, maybe I pre-approved them in early last year and they went out and struck out. And then we reignite that conversation, you know, 6-8 months later, and to see how much their priorities have shifted just in that 6 to 8 months. Whether that's price point, whether that's condo to single family, whether that's city to suburbs. You know, I think that's interesting to keep an eye on moving forward too, right? Because the frenzy that was the last year and a half, now that we're really, maybe this is more like what the new normal is going to look like. We really, you know, nobody really knows. I don't think we're necessarily there, but you know, traffic patterns are different in the city, right? I mean, it's affected really everything about the way we get to and from the office versus going to get groceries or drop your kids off for school. So I think it's something to really be aware of as we talk to people getting into the spring, because I think people's perceptions are continually changing right now.
Are you guys also hearing anything about crime in terms of motivating your clients? Like, I've been getting a ton of phone calls the past week from clients, some of them who only bought a year ago, who are like, I can't take the crime. It's out of control. I'm out of here. Like, we're putting the place on the market in January and February, and I'm moving to the burbs. I never thought I would move to the burbs, but I can't take it with kids anymore. So I don't know if, like, I've been flooded the past week with those phone calls from sellers. I don't know if you guys are getting those or not.
Wow. I have not personally, but that makes me wonder if they're coming soon.
I've got a couple
that
listings. Yeah, I've got a couple listings in River North, and that specific area, I got a few calls from that specific area. And I live in River North, West Loop area here.
Yeah, I was on at an Chicagoland Apartment Association. They had an economist speak, and it was primarily about the crime in Chicago and how it's driving the lower demand in the Loop and central areas. So I think it's a function of people going to the suburbs because of COVID at the beginning, but maybe staying there, or even more holding off on buying right now in the Loop area because of crime.
If someone needs to move immediately, they do it. But then the ones that are like, oh, the crime's going to get better, or the economy and the crime's going to get better in the downtown area, I'll hold out and I won't sell. But if you need to sell and you need to move out, people are doing it.
I have a question. What are you guys working on right now to prepare for 2022 or generate business for 2022?
We're just put together like a more formal marketing strategy. Sorry to cut you off there, Olin. So just trying to systematize our marketing so that there's actually like more of an actual lead generation service. And we actually have a pipeline as opposed to kind of doing one-off marketing and tracking our marketing systematically. So it's consistent. That's what we're working on for next year.
What I'm really excited about is doing parties again, or doing events for my clients. So years past, I would do about 4 every year, maybe 5, 20 to 40 person parties, events. And COVID really put a stop to it. So even though our business has been great, we haven't been able to throw a party. I threw one not too long ago, about a month ago, and that was fun. 40 people showed up. I got to invite 1,000 people, about 100 RSVP'd, and then only 40 showed up. I mean, that sounds about right. But I got a bunch of leads for next year, people wanting to sell their house. So $1,000, $2,000 event, you know, potentially can make 100 grand.
Yes.
I did the same thing. I had every buyer from 2020 in March until about July of this year. I had a party in the summer earlier and invited everybody to come. And some of those people, I had never seen their face because we had been behind masks the whole time. So I did the exact same thing and was able to actually have like a 2020, 2021 joint party. and it was fantastic. And that also generated business for next year. So I'm planning on doing the same thing end of this year or beginning of next year as well, to answer your question, Tiffany.
Yeah, we tend to do the same. We really focus our events a lot in the fall to lead generate for spring. So like this weekend, we're doing pumpkin patches. So on a Saturday in the western suburbs and a Sunday in the northern suburbs. And we invited all of our clients to come, and I'm going to be there for the first hour and a half and hand out tickets. And then everybody comes with their families. And for us, we always ask them to bring another family with them. And so it's a great way for me to lead generate and meet an additional family. And then we're doing pie giveaways for Thanksgiving. We're talking about doing a blood drive in December or January. So we try to do like one event a month in the fall to really like stack those. We're also talking about doing some like suburban kind of open office hours where we'll just be like online on Zoom or Facebook, and our clients who are thinking about moving to the suburbs, since I moved there a couple of years ago and so did my business partner, can just come on and ask us questions about what it's like to live in the suburbs. What do we like about the suburbs? How do the property taxes, how does it all work, et cetera? Because I feel like that is what I'm hearing a lot of from clients right now, is wanting to make that exodus. So kind of being available for them as a resource for that. And then just as simple as, like we do Christmas gifts for a lot of our clients. We do Christmas ornaments with a picture of their house if it's the first year they bought their house on it, and we send those out to people. Just a lot of kind of gifts this time of year for people to just stay in contact with them.
How many people do you think you invite, and how many show up? You can do a percentage or the exact amount.
Yeah, so for our pumpkin event, we have about 150 RSVP'd. And typically for something like that, everybody comes. And I think we invited like 800, 700, something kind of in that range. So probably pretty similar to your numbers.
Yeah.
I feel like from my events that I've done, I always get like a 25% turnout, like based on the number of invites. So try to plan that way.
I used to do movie events, which was awesome. I could rent out a movie theater and then really, like I would run out of tickets, but then I would, I'd figure it out. I would do one the following week, and I would pick like Disney movies or PG-13 movies so I could target families. And then, even our clients would say, "Can I just drop off my kids?" It just turned into a fun thing.
Your babysitter.
That was my question.
And it's your resume.
Oh, that's good. Shay, you just gave off like 7 great ideas. So thank you for that.
Oh, my pleasure. Yeah, we love doing events. Our best event is, we haven't done it because of COVID, but for Valentine's weekend, we always rent out a hair salon, and we invite all of our female clients to come get their hair.
Oh my gosh, that's brilliant.
Super fun. We haven't done that with COVID, but
I'll come if you need a body.
Be a client.
I have hair.
Exactly. I make my kid come and pass out cookies to everybody. And then what's been really successful during COVID is photo shoots. So like in the spring, we did, an outdoor mural one weekend, and then the next weekend we did like a garden. And then one weekend we did porch photos in front of people's houses, so like we've been continuing our events through COVID. We've just been doing them outside for all of our events. So I definitely think that's very doable for people.
Mm-hmm.
One question for you, Shay, or anyone really, when you guys talk about getting like lead genning and doing it in the fall, do you have a way to kind of track, let's say for like your photo shoot, do you have like a metric system to track, how successful it is for that purpose? Not that that's the only purpose, but.
I'm terrible at tracking that stuff, to be honest with you. I don't. All of our business comes from referrals. We don't buy any leads from like Zillow, Realtor.com, et cetera. We've never bought leads. We grow every year. So my philosophy is it's working.
Okay, that's kind of how I do it too. But yeah, we're kind of wondering, is there a way to, better track this? It's like, do the events, you get the referrals.
Yeah, the only one we track is we always, starting in August, send an email out to everybody in our sphere saying if they are thinking about selling over the winter or early spring, let's do your exterior photos now so that your yard doesn't look like crap. And so that we're obviously able to easily track, and so we usually pick up a dozen clients or so from that. And so we'll do those photos through about mid-October, and then we stop. So I would say if you haven't done that yet, like get that email out this week and see if you can get some people on the hook for spring.
Mm-hmm.
So Shay, did you do that already this year and have success with getting people to go ahead and let you know they're going to sell previous to the winter?
Yeah, we start sending that out in mid-August, and we send it out every 2 weeks. We
Yep.
find it's not successful if we just send it out once. So we have to send the email out. Usually it's like the third or fourth time they finally respond. And then we just send our photographer over to do the exterior photos, not interior. And so we just tell them, just clean up the yard. That's all you have to do. You know, he'll show up on this day at this time, just make sure that there's access. So, you know, we do always pick up probably a dozen clients that way, you know, and sometimes they don't end up selling and we've taken their photos, but you know, most of the time, then we have them sign the listing agreement. We go over and check out the inside of the house and start to give them stuff to do to get ready for spring. So it's a nice way to kind of get them on the hook and start that relationship earlier every fall.
Cool.
Nice.
What else are people doing for lead generation now? Anything else?
I'm doing just a few events. I'm doing Wine and Wealth, where I partnered with a lender and my financial planner. And just we're having someone kind of do like a wine tasting, and then we're going to do like a short presentation about how to like build wealth through home ownership. And then I'm also doing a pumpkin carving contest this month, like a kids and adults category. We're posted on social media. And then I do a toy drive for Comer Children's Hospital every December, and that's kind of like a tribute to my niece who had leukemia and spent a lot of time there. So a lot of events heavy too this time of year.
That's awesome. I feel like, Tiffany, you do so many great events.
Thank you.
I'm partnering with Back to School Illinois later this month, and we're packing presents, but like the book bags and the packages for kids for school at the end of this month as a fundraiser and networking as well.
Anything anybody doing that's non-event related for lead gen?
For lead gen in specific, I mean, I'm just doing a lot of planning with my team, and we're just getting together and brainstorming and looking at the data of the last 2 years, just where I'm at. I'm in my 5th year. So, you know, the first couple of years, the data was a little sporadic. So I feel like now is kind of my first year to really look back on like, all right, like what works, how many times did we do it, and what needs to be done every week next year. So that's kind of what I'm doing, but I'm sure a lot of you, like major veterans, you've been doing that for a dozen years. So there's that, there's event planning. And yeah, I mean, those emails are a great idea. One question I had was, and a couple of you have touched on it, how to incorporate like charity into your events. Does anyone have any really good ways to do that, and how to get your clients involved? Because I feel like a lot of people's sentiment with charity is they just don't know where or how. So I was thinking it'd be a cool way to bring that to clients, but I don't know. I don't really have a whole lot of ideas on how. So
we donate a portion of each commission to a charity, and so our clients get to pick. So primarily we support local schools and a local animal rescue group called One Tail at a Time. So we have a little survey that goes out to clients a couple of weeks before closing, kind of explaining these are the 2 charities we tend to support, but if they have a different charity they'd like us to support, we're happy to. And so then they can fill that out and let us know where their donation goes to. And then because I'm a big animal rescue advocate, we have, like, this is going to sound silly, but we have poop bag dog holders that we had branded. And so we give those out at all of our events to people, and we have those at like our open houses with a little sign explaining that we donate a portion of our commission to local animal rescue groups. And they're a good conversation starter at open houses, and a lot of times like people will take out their phone and show us pictures of their dogs, you know, things like that. We have that in our signature for all of our team members as well, explaining that. And I just find it's a good kind of way to build a relationship with potential clients, because most of our clients are pretty animal or, you know, animal crazy. So we kind of incorporate it into everything we do, you know, not specifically just for events though.
has anyone ever done like a charity event where you invite all of your clients to specifically volunteer?
For my toy drive, the first year I did it in 2019, I had an event at a bar, and then like if you brought a toy, I invited all my clients, and then if you bring a toy, the bar gave you like a free drink or a discount on your drink, and then had a really good turnout for that. And I think I collected like 100 toys the first year, and then last year we had to do it all through Amazon. But then this year I'm going to have another event with it and invite clients to it.
That's awesome.
It is. I like that idea.
Yeah, like, oh gosh, this was a long time ago. We bought a bunch of gifts and then had clients bring wrapping paper and then made them wrap the gifts as well. So it's kind of fun. We just had them come to the office and the whole team was there and we all wrapped gifts. So I guess that kind of counts.
Yeah, that's
That
cool.
counts.
Hands-on.
Yeah.
My husband's office, he was a realtor back in the day. He's still in real estate, but not a realtor anymore. This wouldn't work in the city, but in suburban markets, you know, if you have other offices, they always did toys for trees. And so they would order Christmas trees in bulk for the office. And so he only paid like $15 a tree or $20 a tree. And they were gorgeous, like 8-foot Christmas trees, or they could do wreaths. And their clients would sign up. They would choose either a Christmas tree or a wreath, and they would come to the office and they had to bring a toy in exchange to get their Christmas tree or wreath. And then they would have Santa there to take pictures with kids and cookies and stuff like that. And it was like a crazy, wildly successful event.
Yeah, I'm sure. What a trade-off.
You know, so maybe something like that, where they kind of like Tiffany, kind of your bar thing for a drink, you know, something where they trade a toy or a gift for charity for something else in exchange.
Mhm.
Those are great.
Joe, what do you do for lead gen? I mean, you do a ton of business.
Yeah, I mean, this has been the last 2 years. You know, the first half of COVID, we did all, you know, moved everything to the Zoom platform, and people burnt out pretty quickly doing, I mean, we did everything from, you know, wine tastings to, you know, cheese board building, right? Charcuterie boards and stuff like that. And, you know, to varying degrees of success, but it was like the percentage of people that would show up just dwindled and dwindled and dwindled until it became, and it was completely understandable. People just got sick of this, right? This summer I was incredibly targeted, and it was because we did a number of events in the spring and early summer, and we had a really hard time driving real estate agents to those events because you guys are, you know, you're a little bit more fractured than you've been in the past in terms of offices and locations, and it's just very difficult to drive agents to smaller, even larger events. So I kind of decided that's not working, and I probably did 50 lunches in the last 70 days. Like I'm not even making that up. I've got literally my entire desk is receipts, and I basically picked 3 restaurants in the city, Warbler, Summer House, and a breakfast place. And we just kind of, I mean, literally the staff knows me at Summer House and Warbler. It's kind of embarrassing because I've been in so many times. I've literally done lunch at the Warbler and then been back for a 4 o'clock like drink meeting 2 hours later on a number of occasions. So it's been really about sitting down with individual agents and talking about what you guys need, what you're not. And you know, most mortgage people kind of ignored you guys over the last year and a half too, because we've been so busy. You know, who needs to take Shay Hata out for lunch if I can do 10 refinances this afternoon, right? So I've been very targeted that way about getting people out in person, talking about what you are not doing at open houses, what you're not getting from people like me, what we can do to help you with your business. You know, Shay, I've dropped off hand sanitizers for you, like in the hundreds, but we're doing that for lots and lots of people. And it's really kept business moving on my end, but it's been a lot more personal. And honestly, you know, I'm standing in the same bedroom that we moved into this house like 3 weeks before COVID hit. And I have never left this room. We started going back to the office this summer, and then things melted down again. So it was really kind of important mental health wise for me to get out too. So that's literally since June 1st been sort of my focus.
Well, that brings up another question outside of you guys as lenders, Joe, because you've been crazy for the past however many months. Patrick and Seth, for you guys, do you do a lot of partnerships with your brokers, and how are you guys kind of keeping everything tied in with us during all of this? Are you doing events? Are you doing like paid partnerships and things to help with lead gen as well?
We recently had our first event with a lender. So we're looking to do more in-person ones. And that's a question I kind of had for everybody else is, as we're developing our marketing strategy, we're, you know, just weren't doing any, previously was just based on referrals. And Have you guys seen people being more receptive to meeting in person as of late, or are people still a little bit hesitant with respect to like the Delta variant?
I mean, I think it's still easier to do the Zoom platform, but everybody's burnt out on it. So any opportunity that we can do in person, I've been doing that and being super respectful of people's space and time. And my office has 5 different conference rooms that we can spread out in. So I've felt comfortable with clients, but some people it's just easy to do a quick Zoom meeting, and I get that as well.
One question.
Yeah,
Sorry.
you go ahead.
Okay, one question I had for everyone was, is there anything that you've changed to Zoom or virtual because of COVID and Delta that is now kind of like a part of your practice and you wouldn't go back, any like part of your process?
For sure. So Zoom has definitely become a thing with closings, with lawyers. I'm still, maybe this is the gray hair on my head talking, but I really like to be there in person for my buyers. It's just, I think, a better experience for everyone. The more people you have in different places, you have more friction and things take longer, and it's just, I just get in the car and go, or walk downtown. But for my seller files, I've really come to the conclusion that, other than catching up on my bar journals, that's about as much use as I am at the closing table for a seller. So yeah, I mean, that, and just being able to offer a Zoom option for people if our schedules don't work out, if one or another is traveling, that will be a permanent part of my practice. It's not going to be, I think, the primary way that I engage with my clients, but it's definitely going to be an option available.
Cool.
For me, team meetings, it's actually, I think, really nice, to have your weekly meeting and know that there's no excuses, just click, get on. And my team's really scattered. If there's one aspect of our business that'll never be the same, is my team will never see an office space more than they want to at this point. So being able to have a weekly 1-hour meeting that's set in stone, and sometimes we get on and we cover 45 minutes of actual stuff. And other times I'll get on and be like, open up the floor and we talk about Netflix for 30 minutes and we get off. But especially with how fractured everybody is now and how we probably won't all see the same office space again. Again, I said mental health in the last one. I think that's really kind of kept us connected as a team. And then frankly, anything that has to do with sales meetings internally, I don't ever want to have to do in person either.
I will say that outside of Zoom, the other platforms that are available, like FaceTime and just video, I've gotten a lot more comfortable over the past couple months, and a lot of clients have been super comfortable. And during COVID, I did more virtual open houses than I've ever done in my career. And I sold 2 condos through FaceTime because that person could not be in town, and it can work. And so I think, Joe, to your point, we've pivoted to a new normal, or at least what we're assuming might be a new normal within this market. And yes, I'd love to be back in person as much as possible. But if the client can't come or doesn't feel comfortable coming, I'm super happy grabbing my iPad, doing a FaceTime walkthrough, giving them a floor plan, making sure they feel comfortable. At least myself and maybe the other agent can be there for that. And us as agents are conforming and making it work. So yeah, we're Zoomed out. Yes, we're videoed out. But if it continues moving business, I've been very comfortable doing it. And luckily, I am still going into the office a little bit for meetings, but still not nearly as much as normal. So looking forward into 2022 with Delta, I don't know what to expect. But I think that me and my team have at least prepared what we're comfortable with moving forward.
And it's funny, I feel the opposite. I love being on Zoom and not having to be in person. If I don't have to see another person ever for the rest of my life, on. So for us, we're doing all of our buyer consultations via Zoom. And part of that too, I don't know if people know, I moved to Denver last year. So my team is still in Chicago, but I live in Denver. So obviously I need to do everything via Zoom, right? Which works for my personality anyway. So we're doing all of our buyer consultations, all of our listing presentations are done via Zoom. all of our inspection negotiations. So we'll get on with the clients. I'll share my screen, go over the inspection report. We'll put together that response via Zoom. So we're using Zoom constantly with our clients, you know, beyond showings. And I don't see that changing. It's nice to have that FaceTime. And I just feel like it's so much more efficient for our time and our clients' time, you know, and it is keeping everybody safe right now. So I don't see any of that ever changing for our business.
Shay, I knew it looked a little too sunny where you were.
I was like, what corner are you in?
I'm like, are the burbs just sunny all of a sudden? Because if so, I'm moving.
I have to check the weather every day in Chicago to be like, what's going on in the weather there? It's pouring rain.
Shay, I'll just, if you want, I can just send you my virtual backgrounds in the future and be like, oh, it's the same weather. I'm glad this topic got brought up, because there was a point where Zoom's so efficient, virtual's so efficient, but then, you know, as we all know, you know, summer 2020, fall of 2020, people were Zoomed out. So for us, the jam sessions have been productive. But I mean, for me and my sanity and my kids at home and just my family life, like I got to be out there. Like literally, I got to go out and stare at a wall, even if I'm not working, and just not be around stuff. And my wife knows this, you know, she will say, so I'm curious. I love where this is going. And obviously if you don't have to talk, but for the people who haven't kind of chimed in on this, like what are the efficiencies that, I love Shay, you know, we share the inspection report, just some of the nuances that are like, hey, let's just do it on Zoom. And then what's the stuff that maybe was on Zoom or was virtual, but you know, like Patrick was alluding to, no, I do like going to the closings, because I mean, everybody's perspective is different. So I'd like for people who have not chimed in yet to say, hey, yep, this is staying virtual. You know what? We tried that virtual. I love actually doing this in person, you know? So, I mean, I love, and before we do that, I'll let you guys kind of think on that and let the hamster run for a sec, because I will forget. I need a screenshot of everybody smiling. Or I guess you don't have to smile, but we'll just crop you out of the photo. So that was supposed to be funny. So you smile. So when I take the shot, all right, you get it. Okay. So ready? One, and here's the rule. When you see me, don't be like my children and smile for 2 seconds. When you see me stop smiling, then you stop smiling. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, I think we nailed
Our
that.
eyes open.
I think we nailed that. Let's see here. Let's do one more. I'm not going to say who it was. Oh, we nailed it in the first try. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3, smile. All right, I think we good. But yeah, I'm glad. I love where I love where this topic is going, because you know, everybody's perspective is different, and I think people can kind of, you know, glean insights from one another when it comes to virtual, when it comes to Zoom. We did these jam sessions almost every week. Sometimes we did 2 a week, and people liked them, but it just got to be too much for my schedule personally. So I mean, we kind of have a good flow of like once a month for these. So you know, floor is open on this exact topic.
I usually give clients, I usually give clients the option. So I always do a buyer's consultation, but now I say, do you want to meet in person at the office, or do you want to meet through Zoom? And then same with showings. Like I used to always have clients ride in the car with me. And now I say, you know, we'll ride in the car. We can wear masks if you prefer, or if you feel more comfortable riding separate, we can, you know, drive separately and then meet from property to property. So just kind of give them the option.
I think I've been the opposite, where I've been Zoomed out. I think that it's harder, at least for me, to read like body language, or like I interrupt people on Zoom and I'm kind of weird. But when I'm in person, I feel like I'm just better with people. So lately I've been canvassing offices. So just like going in with marketing materials, and I'm still waiting to see if that's going to be effective. But personally, it's something I just really enjoy doing. And then attending as many in-person networking events that are real estate related as humanly possible. So I kind of went the opposite way. I'll let you know here in a few months if it's an effective strategy, but that's just generally what I prefer.
I think
So how has your business been during this time, Seth? Have you been busy?
Yeah, we've been slammed for like the past 6 months. I was trying to figure out if there was like a correlation between number of homes on the market and what we were seeing, but it seems like the hotter the market was this year, the more busy we were, which is kind of counterintuitive. It slowed down a little bit over the past week, but overall it's been really good.
Can you talk at all about like trends you're seeing? Like if, it seems like dark floors are going away, light floors are coming in, like colors are starting to change. Like what are you seeing as kind of like upcoming design trends?
Yeah, so I mean, with people just being home considerably more, a lot of the trends with respect to, pillows and comforters and blankets, it's just like an overall more comfortable feel. So even if you're looking at like a contemporary high rise, people don't really want that square sofa that looks very trendy because they know they're going to be sitting in their PJs working there during the day. So it's really just an overall more comfortable aesthetic, and we're seeing some brown, a little bit of that coming back, whether it's the lighter brown colors, but yeah, just overall more curves in the furniture, somewhere where you can just sit and take a nap because everyone's at home all day.
So what do people think spring, like any predictions for spring? What you think if the market's going to be busy, not busy, certain areas that are going to be busy?
I think you're going to
got named one of the top neighborhoods in the city. So I hope Andersonville stays busy. So
I think you're going to see a lot of chatter about interest rates. And that's going to put a lot of pressure on people to make decisions. And I think that combined with, I don't think we're going to have much more inventory than we had last year. I think it's going to probably look about the same. I could be completely wrong, and I'd love to hear everybody else's perspective on that. But I think it's going to be a feeding frenzy the first, quarter to 2 quarters of next year, while everybody tries to capture rates in the low 3s, regardless of what they actually go up to. And if you, Tiffany and I talked about this before we got on the call. It's, you can get online right now and find economists that are saying it's going to be as high as 4% by the end of next year, and others that say it's going to settle somewhere between 3.2 and 3.3. So, and that's a really, really wide spread. I mean, 0.75% over 1 year is a really wide spread in terms of average rates. But just that being in the news, I think, is really going to add to the feeding frenzy we've dealt with this year in terms of, low inventory. That's my perspective anyway. What do you guys think about inventory? I mean, what are you seeing? Do you have people, are we taking a lot of listing appointments this time of year?
It's similar to last year, or similar to last end of last year, what I'm feeling. So I think it's going to be probably close to what 2020 was, but maybe not what 29 or what 2021 is, but not what 2020 was.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like our listings are about the same as last year, but I feel like our buyer pipeline is up. Of people starting to kind of come out of the woodwork for next year. So I feel like, and again, a lot of it for us is people wanting to move to the suburbs now. So I feel like that exodus is going to continue next year, if I had to guess. But yeah, inventory feels like it's still going to be pretty low in the city in particular. And I think we're going to just see that crazier feeding frenzy in the suburbs.
Shay, that trend you're seeing from city to suburbs, do they mostly have something to sell in the city, or are they mostly first timers?
That's the interesting part. I feel like in the past, it was always people who owned in the city for the most part, and they needed to sell a condo and move to a single family house. And I'm seeing a lot of people bypassing that now. So I'm seeing a lot of our first time home buyers be like, you know what, I don't want to buy a condo in the city. I'm going straight to the burbs. Like I have a client right now, single female with a dog, who like in the past would have always bought in the city. And she's like, nope, I want to buy in the suburbs. I want a yard. I don't want to deal with the crime. And I'm hearing a lot more of that. So I feel like that's going to be the trend more than sell the condo in the city, move to the burbs.
I have that same thing too, where I have a single client who lives in an apartment here, but instead of buying a condo, she's looking in the suburbs and has 2 dogs. It's like she wants a yard and more space.
That's so funny how different our client bases are, because I've had literally 0 people move from the city to the suburbs. And I think 25% of my business was people moving from out of state to Chicago.
Wow.
So it's so unique to see how we differ on those things. And I was going to ask that question to you earlier, Shay, so I'm glad you brought it back up. But the hype that we've been hearing, that everybody's like, oh, Chicago's so bad and everybody's moving to the burbs, I literally haven't felt it one bit. And maybe that's just because I'm city only and I'm, north side primarily, but I haven't had any clients sell in the city and move to the burbs. So it's just so funny.
Most of my clients have kids. And so I feel like that's the majority of the people that I'm hearing that from are clients with especially young kids. So I don't know, like, is your client base mainly families or like, what is it?
Probably 50-50, but I think you're right about that. The ones that are considering suburbs are probably more families. So yeah, that makes a good point, as opposed to single individuals.
Right. Because my single people don't really care. It's mainly my people with families. The other thing I heard a lot of this past year that seems to have died down now was CPS was such a shit show over the past year, that a lot of my clients with young kids were like, or elementary age kids were like, I'm not doing this again next year with CPS. I'm out of here and I'm moving to the burbs, where they were more in school all year long. As opposed to CPS, where it was just kind of constantly in and out. So those were sort of the 2 big things I heard for people moving.
Have you guys seen anything affecting the housing market with respect to overall inflation and supply chain disruptions in terms of home building? Is that affecting like how quickly you can get some of your listings on market?
Oh my God, some of my buyers buying new construction, places that had supposed to close on in May of this year, they're still not closed. And we have a lot of them. And it's just every week where I'm getting an extension request. It's annoying. So yeah.
I'm seeing it more not with, I agree, like, with our new construction clients, that was an issue. I'm seeing it more with inspection repair things. So like, like if we're going to put a listing on the market and say, the washing machine isn't the greatest. And in the past, we would have just put a new washing machine in that property. Well, it's hard to get washing machines and dryers and stuff like now. So now we're doing more credits either up front before we put the property on the market, or if an inspection issue comes up, to not have to try to deal with it. Just be like, we'll give you a credit. You can deal with getting your own dryer. So I'm seeing it affect a lot of inspection stuff more so than anything else.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I tend to lean more toward offering credit anyway, because there's just less to argue about with a number once we get to the closing table. But yeah, I'm definitely even leaning harder, because it's like, from my own personal experience, trying to get someone to repair my refrigerator, it's like you can't get someone from app to out within 2 weeks, maybe, probably more like a month. So for sure, that's definitely something I would continue to lean toward.
I've seen it even affect to the, the city burb city, people, the inventory being as tight as it is, especially like say North Shore, Evanston, Wilmette, Winnetka. And so you walk into grandma and grandpa's house thinking, oh, no problem, we wanted to renovate anyway. And then try to get a general contractor to even come out and walk the property with you. And all of a sudden you realize, wow, if we do buy this project, this fixer upper, it might be 2 years before we get to what we want. And so that's turning people off as well. Really going back into that mode of it's got to be done or closer to done, because not only can I not live through this, I just don't know when I can finish it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, definitely. That's something I've been pointing out to clients like this whole summer and this whole year, of just like, yes, the fixer upper is a great idea and it's, cool experience, but it's more difficult right now than it has been in the past. So if you really need somewhere to live and you're impatient, then like maybe this isn't the right time to buy a fixer upper.
Yeah.
Just so everybody knows, I count like 10 1,000 in my head when there's a pause. And then generally speaking, somebody chimes in. It's like with real estate in the world that we live in, like there's never a shortage of information, but I always, give time to let people formulate their thoughts. So we're about 3-4 minutes out. I want to keep this on point and on time. So what I would like to do, because a lot of the realtors get love in the sense of, hey, how can we like as far as like support goes, I'd like to ask the partners, okay, this is your time to kind of be a little, ask for something and be a little bit more forthcoming. So what are some things, maybe one or two things in your industry that a realtor could do to help support, like when they submit a contract, or when, you know, things go by, if like, you know, Seth's on the staging side said, oh my gosh, realtors do this and this and this. And I'm not saying people on this Zoom do this. I'm just saying in general, generally speaking, man, if realtors could actually submit stuff like this would make my job a whole lot easier and we'd close on time or whatever. So, and obviously, you know, Joe, you can equate that to how it to the lending world, and Patrick on the attorney side. So, yeah, what are just a couple things that realtors can do to help make your lives easier when you're, you know, working on a client? Anybody?
Well, this is a very high level of real estate agent on this particular Zoom. So, and you know, I've worked with Shay for probably about 1.5 years or 2 years now, and I've known Tiffany for most of both of our careers, and we both learned from somebody who's very, very organized. So both Tiffany and Shay really do actually exemplify what I like to see. Sending a contract out with all of the information for the parties involved, checking back in. Nobody's better than Shay's team in terms of checking in towards the end of the transaction. And while Shay, I know those are automated emails, we figured that out. No, but they're actually, so for me, I've actually worked your email into my process. When that comes over, my team knows, even if we've already sent something out, we reply, hey, this is it again. And usually we are ahead of it, but it triggers our process to make sure that we're on it for the last 10 days leading up to close. And so everybody else knows here, Shay sends out about 7 to 10 days before close, has the CD then signed, has, you know, and it's addressed to me and her attorney, who's going to take the lead on getting wire instructions and talking to the, you know, so it's sort of forces the attorney and the lender to both stop and think, has this gone out? What have we done? And then the day before close, she sends out an email stating, were there any inspection issues that we, you know, is there supposed to be a closing cost credit addendum? Did we forget anything? Right. And, you know, at first when I kept getting them over, I'm like, Shay, I already did this. But honestly, you know, once I kind of got used to it, I just worked it into my process, and it's very valuable for me and my team. And it's also made me more process oriented, not Shay, but with all of my real estate agents. So there's things that I do now after working with Shay last year that I never did before for everybody I work with. So that's cool. Actually, Shay, thank you for that. I really do appreciate that. And Tiffany does a lot of the same stuff, especially early in the transaction, that makes it very easy for us. So communication 100% across the board. Everybody on this call would agree with that, is absolutely key.
Have a system. I want to give Seth and Patrick a minute or two. Either of you got anything?
Yeah, real quick. I would definitely second having all of the parties' contact information, addresses, all that stuff filled out on page 13 of the 7.0. It helps because I need all that information for my doc preparation, especially when I'm on the seller side. So, you know, not ignoring that for sure. The one thing that does drive me a little nuts is when I get to the real estate tax proration and they write to TBD or A/I, and don't do that. You're costing your clients money that way. I know it's really, really confusing, especially if you're dealing in Cook County. And if you're not sure what to put there, reach out to your, you know, whoever your referral partner is, lawyer wise, reach out to them and just get their 2 cents on it. Cause, you know, I've definitely had some clients get shorted on real estate tax credits once the other side digs their heels in on something that's not fair.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, I mean, we're all trying to accomplish the same goal. Seth, you're closing us out, sir. No pressure. And let's wish Seth a happy birthday today.
Oh, happy birthday.
I private messaged him. I said, man, should we all sing to you? And he's like, no, don't do that, which made me actually wanted to do it more, but I'm going to respect that. But you have the floor for 30 or 60 seconds. What in your world can agents do to make your processes run smoother?
I mean, going back to what Joe said in terms of communication. So specifically now that everything's screwed up with the contractors taking longer, just let me know, like, you know, they're not done painting, or just keeping an eye on that process. And then also with respect to whenever the place closes, giving us, enough lead time, because moving furniture out is definitely something that can take half of a day. So just going back to communication, that's always helpful. But everybody in Real Producers we've worked with has been excellent with that regard.
Well, hey, I am going to cut the live feed. I appreciate everybody's insights. Stop live stream. Okay, no, we're not Facebook Live anymore. Hey, everybody, thanks so much for hanging with us. And I saw a handful of you at our event, so appreciate you. Good seeing everybody. Yeah, it's like seeing people in 3 dimensions on Friday was fun, and thank God the weather cooperated. If you want to calendar our next one, it's February 11th. I know it's way out there, but we try to make these, we try to slate these in advance so people can plan accordingly. February 11th, 2 to 5 p.m. I'll send everybody the calendar invite if you are in town that day. But if there's anything I can do as far as our platform that will help you leverage stuff to create more business, let us know. If not, I'll let you get to your days. And appreciate you hanging out with us. We're 2 minutes over. Peace out.
Thanks, Andy.
Thanks, Andy. Nice
Thanks,
meeting you.
guys. So fun.
Nice meeting you guys.
See you in
Yeah.
February.
Bye-bye.
Bye, y'all.
I'll send a follow-up email with everybody's info. So talk to you soon.
Thanks.